Good evening, folks. Welcome to the 11th episode here of Outside the Lab, our weekly podcast through Athletes Lab, brought to you by the Performance Center and powered by Under Armour. I've got Aaron here on the call with me tonight, and tonight we're very honored to have a special guest to bring a unique perspective to us, Mr. Seth Keener. Seth is he's a local guy from Hickory, went to Hickory High School, has been around the game in several different facets. He's a dad, he's been a coach. But most of you probably know him as an umpire. He's the regional supervisor of umpires for our area. He's worked college games. He's been down to Florida to pro umpiring school. You name it, he's done it in the umpiring world. Great guy. Again, going to bring a unique perspective from the opposite side of things for our listeners. So tickled to death to introduce him to you, Mr. Seth Keener. Seth, thanks for coming on tonight, man.
Hey, thanks for having me, Cam. Really appreciate it.
Let's start here. So we were sitting here talking, you and Aaron and I, of course, know each other. But for those who maybe don't know you or have only seen you a time or two on the ball field here or there, take us into your background a little bit and kind of tell us where you're coming from on the talk here tonight.
Right. So, yeah, basically, like you said, I went to Hickory High School. I graduated in 91. I played for Coach Kraft. It was his first year at Hickory High. It was my senior year. And as a former catcher, it was great to have Coach Kraft as my coach that year. And I went on to college. I played briefly at UNC Pembroke. I walked on. I played for a year and a half, and I just wasn't good enough. It was just one of those deals where I tried my best, and I just wasn't good enough. And I went on and came back home, and I got into coaching baseball. The fever never stopped for me. I love the sport. Coached at Fred T. Ford High School. Coached JV baseball for a couple of years. And then in 1998 was my last year coaching at Ford. And I decided at the end of the year, I got tired of handing umpires checks for, every day. I wasn't getting paid a whole lot to coach. And I was handing them a $50 check every day. And I thought, man, I can do a better job than that guy. So in 99, I started umpiring high school baseball. Like I told you earlier, I worked a little bit of Little League, 99, 2000, 2001. And every summer I just, worked those lower levels and some travel ball. And then in 2004, I decided, you know what, I want to step my game up and see what I had. And I went to professional umpire school. And professional umpire school is a 6-week course. You go 10 hours a day for 6 days a week. It's like boot camp for umpires. Down in Kissimmee, Florida, is where I went. I went to the Jim Evans umpire school. And there were about 100 people there. And out of those 100 people, 20 made it to the professional ranks. They got asked to do minor league ball. I wasn't one of the 20, but I got the world-class training that all those guys got. I came back from umpire school in February 2004 and called my local college assigner and said, hey, I'd like to do some college baseball. I've had this training, and boom, that started my college career. And I've been doing it ever since. Currently in the Big South Division I Conference, the South Atlantic Conference Division II, Peach Belt Division II, and a couple Division III and JUCO conferences. But mainly, the bulk of my work for college baseball comes from Division II, the SAC, and that's where I'm at.
Good. Hey, Seth. Good to have you on, man. And it's been a few months, but anyway, hey, just like all the fans think, and most coaches, you guys don't have any certification, right? You guys just step on the field and umpire games, man, right? Is that how it goes?
Yeah, pretty much. We just we go from working our regular job, and we just get whatever catcher's gear we can and throw it under a Walmart blue shirt, and we go out to the. No, that's not the way it works, Aaron. That's not the way it works.
God, tell me a little bit about what you guys do. I know, there's a couple things before the season you guys go to, and people don't realize that you guys go out and try to do some fall stuff too at some colleges to kind of get that extra work in too. So just go in a little bit of detail on that for us.
Right. So for the high school umpire, And I'll just start there. The high school umpire will, first of all, they have to register with the High School Athletic Association, and they gotta, that gives them their books, their insurance, and that kind of stuff. And then they got to do a certain number of hours of training. For us, it's in our area, it's 12 to 15 hours of classwork, on the field training, learning where to move, when to move, how to make a call, the mechanics of making a call, and that sort of thing. And then we got scrimmages. You got to do at least, between 2 to 3 scrimmages for new guys. We recommend getting as many scrimmages as you can for those brand new high school guys. And it's a lot of fun training those guys. That's part of my job now is supervising umpires for high school. Now for the college umpire, they got to step it up a little bit more. They got college camps, and you're talking about a college camp. I don't know what it is for a kid these days, for a high school kid to go to, say, Clemson, but for a college umpire, I'm paying anywhere between $400 to $800 to go to a camp for a 4-day weekend, and that gets me seen by supervisors like Troy Fullwood. He's the ACC Conference USA Big South supervisor, or Ron Sebastian, or that gives me non-conference games at UNC Charlotte, or whoever it is that happens to be at that camp. And I get in front of them, and maybe I only got 3 innings to work, and that's what I got to do in those 3 innings. But that's kind of what it is for high school umpires. And on top of that, you got the cost of buying your equipment the first time, buying your uniform. Baseball and softball are 2 of the most expensive sports to get into as an official. A high school basketball official, they got to buy a whistle, a shirt, and a pair of pants, and that's it. We got to buy chest protector, shin guards, a mask, and it could be anywhere from $200, $300 to $1,000, depending on what quality of stuff you want. So it's a little bit to get into umpiring, but the reward is pretty great. It's kind of like coaching.
Yeah, Seth, let's talk about that. And I think that's important for people to remember. Guys who their playing days end, whenever that happens to be, a lot of them will stay around the game in some capacity, whether it's, I'm coaching my son's little league team, or I'm coaching because I'm a teacher in high school. Whatever, guys find their way to stay around the game. And I think people forget that. You said that, you played for Coach Kraft. You had a chance at UNC Pembroke. Like, you're a baseball guy. A lot of these guys are baseball guys who their way to stay around the game, their way to stay connected with kids, to provide opportunities for kids, all the reasons coaches get into it. You're just doing it through the avenue of umpiring. So talk about that a little bit, how, that's your way to stay in the game. That's your way to stay connected to people. And you guys do a great job of that.
Yeah. So, a lot of guys, like you said, for me, I was coaching, I was a JV coach, and it was kind of a thing that I just did, and I enjoyed it because I love giving back to the game. And then I saw the umpiring aspect of it, and I actually umpired a game while I was coaching. One day, actually, the very first game I umpired, I was coaching a summer league team, a 13 through 15-year-old summer league team, rec league, and the umpires didn't show up. All right. So they're like, "What do you want to do?" And I said, I'm an old catcher. Give me some catcher's gear, and I'll go back there. So they did. And I went back there and got heckled and yelled at, and I loved it. I don't know why. Yeah. So it's, I would say, most officials in all sports, I'm just saying baseball, basketball, football, whatever, most officials, the reason they get into the game on the officiating side is because of a love for the sport. They enjoy it. If I didn't enjoy the game of baseball, there's no way I would go back there and put that stuff on and get hit by foul balls and yelled at by fans and coaches and players. What's the point? It's not worth the money. All right.
Right.
So, it's one of those things where you got to have a love for the game. And I don't know if players and younger coaches or even older coaches get that aspect of it. All right. It's kind of a lost art. I don't know if they kind of understand where we're coming from at times. And that's important to me. That's really important that they understand that, we're out here just to do a service. So we can have a game. Right. And that's kind of how it is.
You alluded to a couple of things there I want to touch on. There's a shortage of umpires. There's a shortage of referees, basically all sports right now. Shortage of umpires in the game of baseball. We don't have you guys. We can't play. What do you think contributes to that? We talked about the cost a little bit, or you talked about that. In there too, you got to have some thick skin. You can't sit there and, take everything personal and all that kind of stuff. Why do you think maybe the one thing or maybe a couple things to why we have a shortage? And on top of that, what can we do to not have a shortage? It's kind of getting crazy here a little bit. Before the world stopped here, there were some games that, JV games getting canceled, some other stuff because no umpires.
Yeah, I know. And it's not just, like I said, it's not just baseball. It's every sport. There's less and less officials. And kind of the way that the studies have gone is officials are old on average. They're older. The younger generation is not getting into officiating. Why? That's the big question. Why aren't you getting into officiating? Or if they do, they don't last very long. The younger kids not have as thick a skin as the older guys, or what's the problem? And I'm not saying I have all the answers, but I know one of the answers is, people don't like to be yelled at for doing your job. Think about your, whatever you do for a living. Cam, you're a teacher. Think about if you had about 10 parents sitting in the stands right next to your room, looking at you, watching you every minute. And then if you mess up, if you're, not looking at your class, or they yell at you, "Come on, Cam, let's go. Let's get after it now." Think about that. I had a doctor one time. I was getting a procedure done, and the doctor said, "What do you do?" He's making small talk. It was about a 30-minute procedure. And I said, "Well, I'm an umpire." And he said, "Yeah, how's that go?" And I said, "Well, let's say there's about 20 people right in this small room yelling at you about the cut you're making right now. Would you like that?" And he goes, "No, I wouldn't want that at all. Please don't yell at me." It's one of those things. That's a big piece of it. I think, fans are a big piece of it. Guys don't like listening to that. I had I was training, I train umpires for a living. That's my job. I train high school umpires. One of the guys I was training, I think he umpired about 3 or 4 years ago. He was a former Marine colonel, full bird colonel. Umpired for a year. After that, he called me up. He said, "I'm not coming back next year. I don't need to be yelled at like that." Now, this is a guy that's been yelled at probably all his life in his professional career, and that it's just that's the kind of thing that we're talking about. There's other more extreme things after the game, getting followed to your car. I've been followed in my vehicle after a game.
Right.
That's stuff.
Is it more parents, coaches? Obviously, what is it that kind of, what's it more of?
I would say the reason the average high school umpire, it's fans.
Yeah.
It's parents. Yelling at you. I've been followed in my car by a parent.
Right.
I've never been followed in my car by a coach.
Right.
Coaches and players you can deal with.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. If a coach or player gets out of hand, we have a solution to that.
Right.
Fans pay their money, they get in the game, and they think the $5 ticket entitles them to free, reign over yelling at umpires. I've had stories of umpires being called just atrocious names. Minority umpires being racially, subject to racial epithets, and it's gotten out of hand. And we need to step that up, I think, as a at least in this community, to take care of that. But I think that is the main thing. Like I said, handling coaches is part of the game. It's always been part of the game. Handling players and making sure you have that line. You draw that line with the players and coaches. And hey, me and Aaron, me and you have been nose to nose before, right?
Yeah.
I handled the situation the best I could. Fortunately, I've never ejected you.
Right.
But we had a situation. I don't know if you remember a couple of years ago. I think it was your last year at Mars Hill, where the game ended on a call that got reversed.
Yeah.
In Wingett's favor. You remember that situation, and it was a hard situation. There was a catch, no catch in right field, and I remember it to this day. And I think about it. And the umpire that made the call called it for you. I think it was he called a catch, and both the other guy, me and the other umpire saw it as a no catch, and or maybe it was reversed. I can't remember, but either way, it went against you in a game-winning situation.
Yeah, it was. It was it was bottom of the inning.
Bottom of the last inning, and you're the home team, and we had to come over and explain that to you.
Right.
Well, we handled that situation, and that's what I'm talking about with coaches.
Right. Let's go ahead. I want to talk to you a little bit about relationships with players and coaches. Let's go straight into the coach part, since you kind of mentioned that. I think the best umpires, are the ones that we can communicate with. You know what I mean? Not holler and scream. I'm not talking about that from the dugout, all that kind of stuff. At home plate, introduce ourselves. Hey, whatever, small talk, all that kind of stuff. But you guys being able to be willing in between innings, maybe, or in between a pitch and change something. If I got a question, if a coach has a question, a lot of us, the learning part to make sure we're on the same page, because hell, the rules change so much too, man.
Yeah, exactly. And just starting out, as an umpire, just starting the game and having that good relationship with the coach. It starts with the phone call the day before, or if you're a college umpire, a couple of days before. I'll be in town at this time. Maybe at the high school level, you might not make a phone call, but you'll see the coach 30, 45 minutes before the game. Hey, I'm here. We're here. We're getting changed. We still got a start time of 7:00. Okay, great. And that's where you start that relationship. And then you go to the plate meeting. You have a good plate meeting. At the college level, we refer to each other by their first name. At the high school level, generally, I'll call you Coach Beard, or you may, you'll still call me Seth, or whatever. But having that rapport, it is a big deal, just to start the game off. And then a lot of times coaches will communicate in between innings with umpires, and fans don't see that a whole lot. They're getting up, they're getting popcorn, they're getting a drink, or talking amongst themselves. And the umpire will walk down the foul line, and the coach will come out and maybe he'll have a lineup card out and say, hey, I got a change, or hey, I don't have a change. I just have my lineup card out, and say, hey, where do you have that pitch? And that's great. And that's how we communicate. And it looks like, maybe you're making a change or just asking a general question. You're not questioning our authority, or you're not trying to throw us under the bus or make us look bad. As long as coaches approach umpires like that, oh man, it makes the game so much better. An umpire experienced coaches do that well. They do that smoothly, and it makes a big difference in the game. Another way umpires and coaches communicate is through the catcher, like you just referred to. And the catcher umpire rapport is extremely important to the game, how the game flows, how information is given to the dugout. Maybe a pitcher's out there and he's not stopping. He's not stopping as good as he should. He's right on that border, and he ends the inning. I can tell the catcher, I'm like, hey, man, go tell Aaron that guy's got to stop a little bit better than that, or I'm going to call him for a balk. Yep. Or, hey, go tell Aaron that pitch is just too far outside. He's got to bring it in just a little bit. Or I'm not gonna give that pitch. I'm going to give this pitch. And that's how we communicate a lot of times, is through the catcher.
How important is, speaking of that, I think, with all this technology coming into hand, robot umpires, all that kind of stuff, I know that's not going to reach our level for a while, or if it ever will, but tell us a little bit. We got a lot of catchers we're obviously working with. Grant does a great job with our catchers in the organization, obviously. And we were just talking to Coach Griffin from Carson Newman. You can't get a better catching guy than that. Tell us, about the way the catcher kind of presents, set up or even presents, a borderline call, how much that can help you guys, just call a better game.
Sure. That's a big part of the game. And I tell you what, anytime you want me to come by the lab and work with your catchers on the umpires aspect of it, I'll be happy to, because that is such a huge part of the game, especially at the college level, but also at the high school level. How the catcher catches the ball is so huge on my decision on whether it's a ball or a strike. And, listeners out there may some of your purists may say, if it's a strike, it's a strike. If it's a ball, it's a ball. It doesn't matter where it's caught.
Yeah.
Well, you know what? If it's a strike and the catcher catches it with his glove down in the dirt, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
It's a ball.
That's right. How many times I've had a dude come back, Coach, that was a strike. Dude, it might have been, but your freaking palm's up. There's no way Kevin or whoever is going to call that. He can't call that. Learn how to catch. Learn how to present it. You're right there.
And it's such a big deal. Like I said, especially at the college level, but also at the high school level as well. Catching it with your thumb under it on the low part, not jerking the mitt. You catch it and hold it. It's what I tell catchers. Just catch it and hold it. If you catch it and hold it, I can sell it.
Right.
If you catch it and jerk it, the other coach sees it, I can't sell that as well. And those are the kind of things we have in the fall. You talked about the fall earlier. I do a lot of college scrimmages in the fall. Last year I went to UNC Charlotte like 4 times in the fall, and I was working with their catcher. And the first game I was back there, and I said, hey man, this is the first pitch I've seen in like 3 months. I'm going to be asking you a lot of questions, whether you thought that was a ball or a strike. And we worked together for 3 or 4 games, and we got on the same page, and it was a great relationship, great rapport. A lot of times high school umpires may not have the same rapport because they don't get the same catcher, the same, multiple days in a row like we do in college, but you do get the same catcher more than once in a season. And even if you don't, working with catchers, some catchers don't like to talk. Some catchers will talk about everything in the world, not even related to baseball. And, some catchers, are very, very professional and talk about, boom, ball. Hey, is that can I get that pitch? And the way a catcher talks to you and the questions, the way he asks a question, and same with batters, the way they ask a question is a big deal. If I call a strike on the batter on the inside corner, If he didn't think it was a strike, he may turn around and say, is that as far as you go in? And now he's kind of trying to paint me in a corner. Is that the inside corner? And I have to say, yeah, that's as far as I'll go today. Or I'll have to say, no, I'll go a little further in. And so that the way questions are asked to umpires, and it makes a big deal. It's a big deal.
So we're gonna have a huge a catching clinic in the winter. We're gonna have some college guys there, obviously to help us run it. And I think just going into it, I think communication will solve most of the world's problems, man. And I think if we can get you guys in there, you and some other umpires, because the space we have at the lab, man. We got that whole back space. We can have simulated games. I mean, we can have 3 games going at once if we wanted to. But just getting you back there, or several of the guys that are going to be in the college or think they may be in high school, middle school games umpiring. I think that's a great way to do it, just so we know how to ask questions as catchers, as coaches, as young players, even hitters, you know what I mean? All that kind of stuff. And I just think that relationship makes it better. And also, with you starting tonight with opening up, and a lot of parents will be listening, is the relationship that, hey, you know what? These guys are in here trying to do their job. You know what I mean? And they're not bad guys. They're not bad people. They're not trying to screw your kid. Oh man, little Johnny, we got to make sure he strikes out here. I mean, I think once people see that you guys are actually human and not robots and all that, I think, that's a big part of it, man. So the communication part is what I'm getting at.
Certainly. And I'd be happy to come by. Anything I can do to promote the game and promote umpire / player / coach / fan relationships, I'll do. I've never understood, how coaches and players view us. It's almost like we're on the other team. It's almost like at times I personally feel that sometimes I feel like, hey, this guy's got it out for me. Or this guy thinks I'm got something against him. I'm just out there trying to do a job to the best of my ability.
Yep.
If I mess up, I'm human. And I've told coaches that before. Coach will say, how can you miss that call? Coach, I'm human. If I missed it, I missed it. But I did the best job I could to get in position to see it. And I probably said that to you, Aaron. I probably said to you too, Cam. If I missed it, I missed it. But I was in a position to view it. And bottom line is, I'm not out there to screw you. I'm not out there to mess up your day and mess up your turn your 1 for 4 into 2 for 4, or vice versa. And I'm not out there to give up your home run or, miss that call in the outside corner. And the next pitch is a home run. And if I miss it, I miss it. I'm just doing the best job I can. And I think a lot of umpires would tell you that. I wish coaches, not as much coaches, but fans could understand that more. I think coaches do get it to a certain point. And I think, I don't think players think we're out there to screw them or anything, but I think players, coaches and players may see us as a necessary evil. We got to have these guys. And unfortunately, they're not very good,
Well, I think another part of it is too, Seth, is sometimes, making excuses, hey, I didn't pitch well today because the umpire. Hey, I struck out because the umpire. No, you struck out because you let the damn 0-0 pitch go right down the middle. That's why you struck out. And it gives people a cop out. And you after a game, the parents are trying to, hey, make sure your son feels really good about themselves and blame it on somebody else. And I think that attitude kind of works its way up, from middle school to high school. And that's, something we had to address in college as well. I mean, first little bit, my big thing was, hey, guess what? Pitcher so-and-so is going to be behind the mound calling balls and strikes a day. Hey, and they will miss calls. All right. just like the umpires will. So let's live with it. All right, let's go ahead and get out of our system right now. This is the way it's going to happen. And you want to argue, your ass is kicked out of practice, whatever it is. But I think that's something that's got to be, I think that's our job, Cam, as coaches at whatever level it is, and with our organization. So, I think it needs to be addressed early in careers and not, own up to your mistakes, or, hey, I didn't have a good game. And it's not coach's fault, not umpire's fault, weather's fault, whatever it is, everybody's playing the same situation, circumstances. So let's go from there.
Oh, that's right. It's definitely part of our jobs as coaches to teach our guys how to handle it after the game, to teach our guys how to handle the top of the first inning. It's my job to teach my catcher how to go out there, introduce himself, start that relationship that Seth talked about. All these subtleties. There's so many subtleties that Seth has alluded to that the casual fan misses. They don't see it. They don't understand that the batter's asking questions, the catcher's asking questions. Hey, I got my lineup card out. It's got nothing to do with a substitution. So the more we can teach our guys how to do that properly, how to do that well, the better that relationship's going to be. And I think Seth's right. I mean, that's somewhere where people grow in that. I can tell you, coming out of college, 22 years old at the Legion, I was clueless in a ton of aspects. One of those was umpires. But I think you mature into that, and as you do, it is your job to turn around and help your guys. So couldn't agree more.
Yeah, I think a lot of it too is you talking about being green at 22, Cam. Being a coach or whatever. I mean, it's the same thing with umpires too. I mean, they got to mature, they got to grow, and that's why, Seth, I know a lot of times, excuse me, when you guys were doing a 2-man or 3-man crew in college, you're kind of a veteran umpire. You would send a rookie, somebody'd send a rookie with you. And from the start, I'd be like, man, this is going to be tough. And that communication between me and you, and I'm sure you said some stuff in between innings or coached him afterwards a little bit, just saying, hey, man, how about next time do this, this, and this a little bit better, or whatever it is. It's just getting that maturity, just like everything else.
Yeah, I tell you what, we do that at the college level, especially in between innings. When you see umpires getting together in between innings and talking, we're not shooting the breeze, asking where we're going to eat after the game. Okay, right. We're not saying, hey, did you see that kid slip in center field? Wasn't that funny? We're saying, hey, if I'm a veteran umpire, which I am in the SAC, I'll get that rookie guy on my crew. And I'll get him in between innings and say, hey, man, you got to get to this position. You got to get there in a hurry when the ball's hit, and just to kind of explain the situation to him if he misses it, even if nobody else sees it. Right. A lot of times nobody notices umpires' mistakes except umpires. If I'm the plate guy and the first base guy doesn't rotate in when the third base guy goes out on a fly ball, guess what? That means I got to get to second bases from the plate umpire. And guess what? Whose butt's getting chewed in between innings? It's a first base umpire because he didn't get in the infield. So that kind of stuff happens. For umpires as well. We get new guys in there. They've gone to camp. They put the training in. They've got the skills, but they haven't quite grasped the college game yet, or even in high school. Maybe I'll put a upper level umpire with them for the JV game, and so the new guys got the JV plate, the veterans got the bases, and in between innings they'll be talking all the time about positioning, about not necessarily about strike zone, but maybe because I tell rookie umpires, I say, look, this is the strike zone, and I tell them where it is and what the book says, and then I tell them the reality of the strike zone. You got to give a little bit here, a little bit there in the high school game, especially in the JV level and middle school level. And hey, you got to understand how the strike zone works as far as the quality of pitchers you have. So that veteran umpire in the field may come to him in between innings and say, look, you're getting that pitch that's it's outside, but it's too far outside. You're calling that a strike. It's too far outside. We understand. We want to expand that zone a little bit, or however we've taught it. And so yeah, that's what we talk about in between innings. We're not talking about what we're going to do after the game, where we're going to go, where we're going to eat, and stuff like that. We're talking baseball in between innings.
Hey man, you're being a little bit too modest because those double headers. Okay, double headers, no lights. All right, that you have to tell some of those guys that want that tight ass strike zone to freaking let's go, so we don't have to halt a game because of daggum light, man. You know what I'm talking about.
Yeah, man. I've been the third base umpire at your at Mars Hill before, and I'll roll down there and say, hey man, daylight's burning.
That's it. You got to keep the game moving, man.
First game went 3 hours. We got to get this done, man.
That's
so
exactly
we got to call some strikes.
That's exactly. Hey, up there with those short fences, man, a lot of games went 3 hours, 3.5 hours. That's for sure. Hey, tell a little bit. A lot of people think you guys are like the weathermen. That you can do one thing and not have any accountability. You know what I mean? I can be 50% right. Nobody. Tell me a little bit. I know at the lower levels there's not so many guys maybe, but the evals that you guys may do or have a third party come in, and also you alluded to a little bit, having that veteran umpire out there when possible to coach these younger guys literally into how the game needs to be played or be officiated, and just kind of what direction that needs to go in. So talk a little bit about the evals, maybe a little bit.
Yeah, sure. So, at the high school level in my group, we have outside evaluators. We guys that are retired umpires. They can't move anymore. They're, older umpires, or they've just gotten out of the game for one reason or the other. And I'll have them come in and evaluate my rookie umpires, my second year, third year umpires. And all right, they'll come in and watch the whole game. They'll send me an evaluation, and they'll talk to the umpires after the game. And that's a big part of it, is being, can the umpire accept that constructive criticism? Because it's not a fan yelling at him now. It's not a coach. It's not a player. Not a fan. It's just another umpire that watched the game, and he's just watching you. And that happens. And to be able to take that criticism and apply it to your game, and it takes a man. I mean, it does. It takes and that's what it takes to be an umpire. It takes a man, and you just got to have that attitude, that I'm going to get better attitude. Kind of like a player after the game, he goes 0 for 4, and Cam, you're on his butt about swinging at pitches out of the zone. He's got to be able to take that criticism, right? So umpires the same way. I'll go out, and I mainly go out and watch veteran umpires, the guys that are vying for a state championship series or a regional series. That's the guys I really focus on. My lower level umpires, I got 2 or 3 guys that'll go out and watch them, or a veteran umpire will work with them and then give me a game report back on them. At the college level, we don't get evaluated on site as much, but on video. Video is becoming such a huge part of the game now, especially even the mid-major Division I level. If someone complains about you, they can go back and see it on video. Now the big boys, the ACC guys, and they got video review. The SEC guys, I know a lot of those guys, and they got video review. They got microphones and bases. It's legit. So anybody can review their stuff. So if a coach complains about them, about a specific call, it's pretty easy for them, for their assigner, to go back and say, hey, this is where you need to be. This is what'd you see here, and that kind of stuff. But you're absolutely right. Getting together in between innings at the lower levels without video review, or having an outside evaluator come in is just really important. important to development umpires.
Right. Before we wrap this up, Cam,
Go ahead.
a little bit, I think, a part of us doing this series is to kind of relate different things to each person that may be watching or each kid or whatever it is. And you're talking about the growth part of it. It could be very easy for you to go out and review everybody and be like, hey, man, what a great job you did. You were perfect. Same thing with kids coming to us. If they want to hear how good they are and how perfect they are, they don't need to come to us. We're not training them, and with the resources from their parents and all that to us to train. Oh man, great job. Get a good slap in the butt. What a great day. We're trying to teach them to better themselves. How do we do that? You got to find out what's going on to make them get better and point things out like that. So thank you very much for pointing that out and bringing that perspective in, because I think that's very, very important for people that are listening or watching this to really think about. Because, again, what are we trying to do? We're trying to get to the top level, these kids at whatever level they can max out at. Some kids are max level out, maybe JV high school baseball. Well, great. We're going to get them there. Varsity baseball. Hey, I can be an All-American. Or, hey, he's going to play college or pro ball, whatever it is. We got to get them there. How do we do that? We got to go in there and teach them and not just pat them on the butt. And I think that's a big part of it. And I'm glad to hear, and I know hopefully parents and players are happy to hear that the umpires have to have some kind of accountability. And I will tell you, Seth, there's a lot of umpires or a lot of times at where I was at Mars Hill that they would come in and an outside evaluator and say, hey, man, I'm going to use your press box for a few innings because I want to evaluate these umpires. I'm like, all right, man, let's do it. So I think there's a little bit more accountability than other people may think there are or think there is. But, I think that's very, very important to kind of hone in on and think about. So, Cam, I didn't mean to interrupt you there. Go ahead.
No, you're good. We were on the same brainwave there. I mean, Seth, what I've heard the past 10 to 15 minutes can be summed up in one word, and that's growth. Whether it's me working with a player, whether it's you helping a young umpire between innings, whether it's me coming to you. I can't tell you how many conversations in the short season we had this year. Me and an umpire was, hey, Kevin, how can I help my catcher get better? We're not getting this pitch that I think we should get. It's not you. How can I coach him better tomorrow so that we can get that on Friday? Whether it's you and an evaluator, it's all about growth. It's all about getting better. And that's what this platform's for. Whether it's talking to Coach Blake at Duke or Ryan from our strength staff or you from the umpire side of things, we're just trying to help grow the game. We're trying to help get people better, get them educated. So growth was kind of the big takeaway for me in the past 10 to 15 minutes. So that was awesome.
Great. Yeah, that's what we're all about. I tell umpires all the time, either you're getting better or you're getting worse. I mean, that's either you're improving your game or you're not. And if you're not improving your game, you're getting worse. And guys are passing you by. And we talk about shortage of umpires, but you also talk about, every umpire wants to umpire the big game. We want the big game, right? I get excited at the big game. You still get the juices get flowing. If I'm doing just a rum done, just a regular game and it's just regular season game, it's just no implications. It's that. But if it's for the conference championship or if it's for this championship or whatever, my juices get flowing just like players, just like coaches. Umpires are the same way. We want to perform well. So yeah. You're getting better, you're getting worse. I tell you, you're going up, you're going down. That's what it is. And if you're not going up, you're going down. And I talk to umpires about that all the time. How do you step up your game? How are you getting better? Don't just tell me you're working on it. Show me. Tell me how you're working on it and what you're doing to work on it and that kind of thing. Just kind of drilling down on techniques and that kind of thing. You talk about we were talking earlier about catchers catching pitches and how they catch them and stuff like that. How are you getting that pitch? How is the catcher setting up? Is he setting up to where you can't see that pitch? If he's setting up that way, if he's setting high, how are you going to see that pitch? Because it's your job to see that pitch, regardless of how he's setting up. So how are you going to improve on your set to see that pitch? And there's a lot that goes into it.
Yeah, man, that's awesome. I tell you what, our folks listening have had I don't know how long, an hour, wherever we're at now, of jam-packed information, good insight from you, from one of the best around, and things that they can really go back and think on. Next time they're at the ballpark, hopefully sooner rather than later. Maybe they see things a little bit different, and if we've helped in that aspect, then I think we've done our job. So before we wrap up, any final thought, any comment you would leave our listeners on?
Yeah, basically, when you leave the game as a athlete, like when I left the game and I became a coach, and I thought, man, this is the greatest thing ever. I'm coaching baseball. I played the game all my life. Now I'm coaching it. I want to pass on what I learned. And for me, that wasn't the avenue that I was meant to go down. And I went down a different avenue. And I tell you what, it's been just as good. I may not be passing the game along directly, but indirectly, I'm affecting the game from whatever angle you're looking at it from. I'm affecting the game, and if any of your listeners out there, after they finish their playing days, if they decide not to go down that coaching avenue, or not to work with their whatever the case may be, if they still want to stay in the game, please look into officiating. We need officials. It's a good way to make a little extra money on the side, but at the same time, you get to stay in the game. You get that the feeling of being in a game, that the adrenaline and that kind of stuff. So please look into that if you're interested.
Awesome. Seth, thanks so much, man. Appreciate everything you do. We'll keep working on that relationship with coach and umpire, players umpire, and fans umpire. Hopefully these guys have a different perspective when they go out and watch games. Hopefully this summer, like Cam said, hopefully sooner than later. So we'll see you soon. Hopefully at the lab, and we'll see you on the ball field as well.
Great, thanks guys. I'll see you at the lab.
All right.
Thanks, appreciate it, man.